Well, let's go ahead and bust some sod together. What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another blade review here at the channel, where today we're taking a look at the Smith & Sons Ox. Check out that cool logo. That's sweet. I'd put that on a shirt, man. Smith & Sons should put that on a shirt or something. That's a cool looking logo. So it's their modernized take on the SODBUSTER design, which is an interesting topic and idea in itself. The term SODBUSTER was used by the upper class as a derogatory term for the lower class people who worked in the ground, in the earth, busted up sod, you know, like farmers and those type of people who worked with their hands. So there was a derogatory term, and then really came into popularity in the 1930s in the Dust Bowl during the Great Depression, and that's around when I believe Case kind of picked it up and first started applying it to knives, is kind of in that era from what I remember. So that's something to just be, it's just an interesting fact. I love history, and it's a cool, interesting fact on just the blade shape. Refined features in a very utilitarian ideaed knife and rooted knife. Now, Smith & Sons is an American company, but they outsourced this particular model to Italy. So this is an Italian-made knife for Smith & Sons. Liner lock design. A lot of SODBUSTERs are slip joints, so that was another thing. I would prefer locks when possible, and this gives it to us. The blade itself is going to be 3 inches, 2.75 cutting, full flat grind. Edge geometry was really good for basic utility, which is what it's designed to do. Food prep, you know, that type of stuff, cardboard cutting, slicing, 1/8 of an inch thick, very easy to do with it. And with that D2 steel, which Smith & Sons uses a lot, again, I don't know if Italy got the D2. I don't know if, you know, Smith & Sons sent it over to them. I don't know how that all worked, but good steel, you know, nothing to balk at or complain about, particularly when it's done, you know, in Europe or America. You usually get a much better performance than sometimes overseas in Asia. And what they do with D2 sometimes can be kind of hit or miss with heat treats and stuff. So good heat treating from everything I'm seeing, good edge retention. Now, I was concerned about piercing because it's just not, I mean, it's basically, it looks like a butter knife kind of with the blade shape. I was surprised that the piercing was actually better than I thought. It does come to an abrupt tip, and it's enough to penetrate, you know, like basic packaging, something that would arrive from, you know, the post office, something that you ordered, the next knife that you ordered, whatever. You could easily pierce the tape, you know, and open that, get through cardboard. I opened up, you know, like food packaging, stuff like that was easy. 1 or 2 packages for the kids, you know, and their toys. So the point is abrupt enough to do that, but you're not going to be doing any sort of like heavy duty stabbing or anything like that with it. So basic utility for an EDC knife, totally, absolutely does get the job done, even though it may not be as aesthetically pleasing, you know, as some other blades. This is actually a case, look at that, that I'm messing around with that we'll talk about in a moment. But, you know, like this is way more, in my mind, cool looking, the blade shape, but this is iconic for the sod busting design. But before we go any further in the video, I want to give a big shout out to today's sponsor, which is Zoleo and their satellite communication devices. Now, I've been using my Zoleo device on my outdoor adventures for over a year now. I've always appreciated how it provides a familiar smartphone messaging experience that transmits seamlessly over satellite, cellular, and Wi-Fi. Now, there are a few satellite communication devices out there, but Zoleo has several features that set themselves apart. Zoleo is the only iridium-connected satellite messenger on the market under $200. And that's what first drew me to Zoleo, is that it had a great price point, really reasonable prices on the monthly plans, and had great performance. But another big factor for me was the easy device sharing. This approach extends the value of the Zoleo device to you and me, the user. I've let friends and family borrow it when we're in the backcountry on backpacking adventures so they can text their loved ones, let them know that they're okay. And of course, the SOS feature, which will send my GPS coordinates to first responders, and now it allows me to also communicate with them, letting them know what injuries may have occurred, what scenarios going on, so they're better ready to help when they do arrive. And guys, that's just scratching the surface of what this device has to offer. And we have a special promo code for you, the viewers, which will waive the $40 activation fee. And I will have that promo code as well as the link over to the Zoleo website in the description box below. So I encourage you, take a look, click that link, and see what they have to offer. Now, smooth deployment there. Ambidextrous thumb studs, easy to engage, flips open onto that liner lock that hits about 40%, super solid lockup, none up and down, side to side, no movement, milled liner, so it feels really comfortable. You know, it's been crowned and rounded, and it has even a cut in there so that you can, you know, the thumb studs go in there, the scale has been milled so it's easy to hit. Really nice. Basic, nothing too big or too small on the stop bar back there. Really good. And then milled liners onto that gray G10 in this version. And again, there are different color combinations that are available. And that's going to be contoured, so that's really nice as well. Low traction, very slick, but it's very contoured, no bolster like what most SODBUSTERs in that design would have. Fits my large size hands with room to spare. No issues there, no guard, but there's plenty of real estate right there. You know, you can get up and kind of work with the material of whatever you're doing or back up. I still had plenty of room to spare, and then that spacer back there. Recessed jimp in there. So that's really nice. It gives you enough little bit of hit when you push and you're putting pressure, but otherwise it's, you know, not abrasive or anything like that, so that's good. And very simple contouring there. Excellent centering, so no issues. Now this is a hang up that I have. You have ambidextrous thumb studs. They could have milled this side very easily to match this side. Not an ambidextrous knife. The pocket clip cannot be rotated. Now, as I'm not left-handed, but you can see here, so if you like everything else about the design, you could just remove the pocket clip and carry it in a sheath or in your pocket on a lanyard. So that is an option. And I think I did see on their site even a leather sheath for this blade. And if not, I'm sure because it's a very iconic kind of profile, you could easily get yourself a leather sheath just, you know, that's already pre-made somewhere, eBay, Etsy, you know, whatever, and carry that if you are a lefty, or if that's just how you prefer to carry the knife in general, that is an option. Pocket clip is really huge. It's ginormous. I mean, it is freaking huge. The screws are not recessed. I mean, here's a $40 Chinese-made knife with a loop over. This is a CJRB. Recessed screws, man. Companies need to start doing that. Everybody needs to start doing that. So it's not, I mean, it doesn't bog down on my pocket clip, but that would just, like, they could have then lowered the pocket clip and made it a little bit better. Here's another example. Here's a case. And this, no recessed screws here either on this loop over, and it really binds up. Doesn't bind up like this one does, so it does ride well on the pocket, but they could have, like, just made a lower profile to the design if they had put recessed screws on there. So hopefully companies start doing that more and more. Other than that, really cool. One thing to note as I run in a competitive option for you, and for the price of $150, which is what I paid for this knife, so it's definitely on the premium side of blades, Italian made, you know, very competitive with other Italian made stuff. The blade tip was off. The grind was not symmetrical on the last quarter. It was off to one side. That was a little disappointing. The cool thing was, because of the D2 with just my diamond stone on my handheld work sharp, I was able to easily in about a minute reprofile it to be very symmetrical and perfect. And I was very happy with that. So it was very easy to work with that D2, but still holding a better edge than a lot of other steels that are out there. So would have liked to see that. It must have been Friday and they were running out, you know, over in Italy to go enjoy the weekend, and somebody just didn't, you know, they let it stay a little too long on the grinder while they were sharpening it. So not the end of the world, but I would have liked to see that grind more symmetrical on every model, particularly for what I paid for it of 150 bucks. So I will have links to all the distributors that we partner with here below that carry this. I do appreciate it if this design does make sense for you to check out those hyperlinks, or just, you know, purchases in general. All those hyperlinks help me just purchase gear like this and give you guys my feedback and walk you through it. One blade, I don't have a lot of D2 blades right now that aren't made in Asia. This is an American-made dividend with CPM D2, so it's a compound blade, giving it that crazy look with Sandvik on the back, D2 on the front. Assisted, you know, totally different style, very modern. Liner lock though, aluminum handles, loop over that they did not recess the screws, but it is ambidextrous. You know, not a manual. I prefer manuals. This is a manual folder. You know what would be cool is if Kershaw started doing some of their classic designs like this and other ones like it, the Blur, but put like KVT ball bearings on them and made them non-assisted and did some cool new color combinations, that would be dope. I would buy a whole new set of Kershaws if they started doing some of that with their American ones. Anyway, $100. So, you know, just food for thought, things to think about. That's an option there for you guys to consider. But that is the aux from Smith & Sons. Let me know what you guys think, guys. Do you own one? Do you like this design? Do you like SODBUSTERs in general? Should I do some more SODBUSTERs? Always appreciate the comments below. Give us a like. Share it with a friend that might be interested in this. Check out the other video popping up. And until next time, always remember, stay equipped, stay prepared, and I'll see you out there.